Hi everyone, the Lone Wolf here, and welcome back to the Sunday Recap, your weekly vlog about what I've done in the last week or so, some of the news that caught my eye, and then possibly another game that I'm keeping an eye out for. So let's get started with EVE Online, my main game, the main game of my channel as well. And I've been playing a decent amount of EVE Online in the last week or so, not as much as last week. I would say that I've done the same regular stuff. But I didn't go out for a bigger exploration expedition, or we didn't have any corp activities in K1Y or anything like that. So it was mostly just some mining, some producing, some selling, and trying to find some cheaper advanced PI materials, because a lot of them have shot up in price quite a lot, but the ones that I still need a decent amount of have actually just shot up crazily in price, and I'm not willing to spend that kind of money on them at the moment. So I'm just keeping an eye out for those to drop back a little bit so that I can invest more of our ISK in the preparations of the Citadel, and that is basically what I've been doing mostly in EVE Online in the last week and in the last few months. In fact, it is preparing myself for Citadel. I have plans, stuff that I want to try once those hit, and there's plenty of things that I can do to prepare for that. Of course, a lot of that is decently grindy. You need some ISK, you need some materials, so you're basically just grinding to increase your holdings in the game in general. So I'm not going out there and risking 250 million battleships, because I would rather spend 250 million on more advanced PI materials to prepare for a Citadel. So that is why there's no big action or anything like that happening. I'm fully in preparation mode for the Citadels. Another bit of news that happened last week as well is that we have a new member that just joined the corporation. He's actually a real life friend from Cedar Balnit, and I think he's completely new to the game and checking it out for the first time. So I think that's going to be interesting. I don't know him personally, but Cedar Balnit is vouching for him and has basically taken him under his wing. He's explaining the game to him, trying to get him acquainted, and he joined the corporation, and so we'll see if we can get him in on some corporation activities, if he enjoys the game, if he can find his way here, yeah, just trying to get someone addicted to EVE Online as much as we are. Could be a fun experiment. We'll see if it works out. Of course, EVE is not for everyone, and the motto in Core Incorporated is that everyone is basically free to do whatever the hell they want. So there are zero obligations on our part or expectations on our part for this new member. But yeah, interesting. Someone that wants to give the game another try. From our real life circle, we're taking him into the corporation, and we'll see what comes of it. When it comes to actual news that caught my eye in EVE Online, there are a few interesting tidbits, I think. First of all, it was a tweet from CCP Fuzzy that they had a successful first in-house test with an Excel Citadel, doing a fight against like a fleet of dreadnoughts that managed to get him into reinforce. And I think the results were something like 15 faction-fitted dreadnoughts that actually were destroyed by the Citadel alone, and the Citadel didn't even have its doomsday. So these really do look to become Excel Citadels really do look to become huge powerhouses, very, very difficult to take out, but of course it is something that can still be done, and so they could become really major drivers of conflict, of big fleet battles. I think it could be interesting. A lot of people are already speculating that they're going to be too powerful or not powerful enough. There's always people on either side, but I think it is pretty interesting, and the way I'm viewing that tweet is basically that CCP is doing well in the development of the Citadels, and they are on track to bring us the Citadel expansion early in the spring of this year. And of course, I'm completely looking forward to that as well. Another big news, of course, that happened last week is that CCP said they are going to go ahead with skill trading in EVE Online. So there was a dev blog where they said basically, okay, in the next release in February, we are going to add an item in the Aurum store that will allow you to extract 500,000 SP from your character. and you can sell that on the market or use that on another character, and then depending on how much SP that character already has, there will be a penalty, but you can basically respec, you can basically buy SP in the game from that point out. And it is of course something that is very controversial. A lot of people don't like this and see this as another step on the road towards pay to win. I personally don't agree with that. I think nothing is actually created in the game. SP has to have been trained already in order to become tradable, and I think that this feature is fully within the rules of the sandbox, but I agree that there are both advantages and disadvantages to this system. So personally, I'm neutral to this. I think the biggest advantages here is that people can basically rectify mistakes that they've made in the past when it comes to their skill training. I also think that people that are absolutely sure that they want to join certain fleets, they want to be able to fly certain doctrines, that they can now speed up the process to actually get there. So for Alliance gameplay, I can definitely see the advantages there. On the other hand, there are risks to this as well, I think, for the longevity of the game mostly, because this will basically allow people to respec their skill trainings, which means that not only is the entire skill pool going to become optimized to whatever people want their alts to be able to do as efficiently as possible, which I do think will have an impact on the longevity of the game. But I think the biggest danger could actually be that people will now have the ability to basically respec to flavor of the moment situations. If CCP all of a sudden decides to completely nerf one ship and make another ship a clear winner in the game in fleet doctrines, then I do think that especially alliances with big pockets will actively use this to create fleet members that are basically always able to fly the flavor of the moment, the most powerful ships, weapon systems, fleet doctrines that are available there. And while it is not exactly wrong to be able to do so, I do think on the longevity of the game, this puts a pretty big mortgage on that. It's a little bit of a risk that I definitely acknowledge, but I think we have to give this a chance. As I've said, this is not outside of the rules of the sandbox in my opinion, and we'll have to wait and see what the actual impact on the game is going to be. And then a final bit of news concerning EVE Online is pretty recent, is that CCP deployed Project Discovery on CC, on the test server. And Project Discovery is like sort of crowd science, where they are going to give us a module where we can try to analyze pictures of cells, it is at the moment. And depending on that, we could actually have an impact for real-life scientists who have just huge databases of these pictures that have not been analyzed. And well, they basically can't write programs to do the analysis for them. They need a human person to put some time and some effort into seeing what exactly is this picture. And that is basically that project that is now on CC. If you want to give it a try, I think CCP definitely wants to get this going, because they're working with a scientific institute and the Reykjavik University, I think, to bring this to EVE Online. And I do think that the EVE Online community is absolutely perfect for this, because we do have a lot of time, very dedicated people as well, very analytical people, and so I think that this could be very successful, and I do encourage everyone to at least check it out, either on CC or on TQ when it comes out. I've given it a try. I went through the tutorial, and I must say it is not easy. It does require your attention, your effort. It's not something that you can do completely AFK, but I think it is pretty interesting. And considering the setting that they've chosen here, so it's sort of a Sisters of Eve initiative to help with this, I do think it fits very well within the team. I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing so far of Project Discovery. So that's it for some EVE Online stuff. Moving on to another game that I've been playing. As you may know, I jumped into some Diablo 3 because Season 5 has just started not that long ago, and I got a little bit tired of my minion witch in Path of Exile. So I'm playing this not with the idea of, wow, I'm going to go 100% back into Diablo 3. I'm going to put every waking hour in that. Absolutely not. I'm doing this to see if I can enjoy the game of Diablo 3, if I like the changes that they've made since I've last played, and compare it a little bit to Path of Exile. And so far I can tell you that I've gone through the normal playthrough. So I basically did the entire game on normal. I managed to reach level 50 on that, so it's definitely a lot faster, a lot smoother, but I'm also already starting to see some of the limitations in the game and just the casualness of Diablo 3 compared to Path of Exile. What do I mean by that? I can basically already see the planning for me for the rest of the game. I'll reach level 70 and then I'll have little other choice than to Google one of the optimal specs for my Crusader and start grinding out the other aspects of the game to try and find better gear and increase my power like that. But it is not like I'm tied to any spec. It's not like I have anything planned. I'm playing a Crusader, and then I'll just have an optimal spec for the Crusader, and then it's just gonna be grinding to get better loot. I do think I'll be tired of Diablo 3 way before I got tired of my minion witch in Path of Exile. And the reason I think is when I play Path of Exile, I think I want to try a specific build, a specific ability, a specific spec that I have in mind, and there is much more of a drive to try and push that to its limits through my own efforts. And there's, in my opinion, a much greater sense of accomplishment as well, because the normal playthrough of Diablo 3 was just way too easy. I never got into any danger, not even close. It's only at the very end of the game where I noticed my health dropping for just a few seconds by like 10 or 20% or something like that. So it's just way too easy. In Path of Exile, if you've got a completely wrong build, or if you're not at least on track, then the Malachi fight and the Dominus fight are going to give you a bit of trouble, a bit of something to work on, and a little bit of a sense of accomplishment when you do get past them or one-shot them or whatever it is. So yeah, I think that Diablo 3 has its advantages. It is fun, it is polished, it is very smooth, and you've got this really big curve up in power, so you do always have a sense that you are this overpowered hero that's just going to crush anything that's happening. At least that's what's happening here at the moment when you first start the game. But of course in Path of Exile you've got a bit more of a challenge, more planning to do, more of a sense of a goal that you're going to work towards, and in my opinion, as a result, a bit more of a sense of accomplishment in Path of Exile. So at the moment I'm going to keep playing some Diablo 3. We'll see when I actually hit that same wall as what I hit with the witch in Path of Exile, but my personal expectation and feeling is that it's going to be way sooner than in Path of Exile. But we'll see as I go along, and of course I'll keep you guys up to date on the progress in Diablo 3 as well. And then next up, since there's not really any major news that caught my eye too much, I want to talk a little bit about The Division. It is another game that I do have my eye on, and the reason it was basically brought back centerfold to me is because I saw a video last week from Angry Joe, who was playing some Division at the developers with some more press right there, and it looked decently interesting. I must say, I don't look at this as something that's going to be a super game, a main game. It's not something that has any of the sandbox elements that I like. I also don't think it'll have the amount of content or the amount of story or any really drastically new features that are going to make this an incredible, revolutionary game or anything like that. But what I saw in the video about The Division was a fun and polished shooter that should be really fun with a few friends. So a very nice co-op experience. The description that was given by Angry Joe there was something like a Destiny, but without all of the sci-fi stuff, and of course available for PC, which is pretty important for me. So I'm looking at this. If I want a shooter experience and I can get a couple of the guys on board to try the Division when it comes out, then it is definitely something that I might pick up. And otherwise, if it ever comes on sale, I do think that the Division is going to be worth it, just because it does look like a really good shooter with interesting mechanics, customizability, a bit of a loot grind as well, but I don't think it's only about the loot grind. And so I see some potential in the game to be just a fun experience, a fun thing to do, not something that I'm planning to like play forever or play super hardcore or anything like that, but just a fun game to play, a fun experience to go through. So far, this is actually looking pretty interesting in my book. So yeah, the Division, I'm actually liking what I see on that one so far, from a bit more of a perspective of this could be quite fun to play when it comes out. Anyways, that's it for this Sunday recap then, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.